Listen, saying ACAB or cops suck in this community is really not a controversial take, and I don't feel like I'm going to have to make any arguments, for that opinion here to you guys, but I do think it's important from time to time to go over instances in which police officers have abused their power, just to get an idea of how much power cops have that goes completely outside of the bounds of the spirit of the law. And that's just completely outside of the discussion about morality itself. So we're going to be watching this video. It came up in my recommended recently, so I have seen a fair bit of what we're going to look at, but a good amount of it is completely, I haven't seen it. It's a blind watch through. It was a video that came up in my recommended. It caught my eye. The clickbait worked, and I ended up watching it. And the first part of the video immediately made me stop, and I thought, I need to cover this on stream. This needs to be a segment. I need to make this a segment. The video is called When Cops Have to Arrest Their Family. Interesting, huh? Bet that piqued you guys' interest. This is body cam footage that is narrated by someone who gives extra details from the aftermath of the case and everything. To give context to what's going on if you can't really tell from the video and the audio. And this particular first story of Officer Kovac should genuinely blow your mind. I was genuinely mind blown by this one, despite my very low opinion of police as it stands.
Cops have to deal with all sorts of violent and dangerous criminals every day. But what happens when it's their very own family they have to arrest?
Yanni, why are you pushing me?
Caitlin, knock it off!
This is Officer Kovac, a policeman who didn't approve of his daughter's relationship with 18-year-old Makai Coleman.
I want to remind you all, she is also 18, and it is very explicit that he didn't like that her boyfriend is black. That was his problem, was that his adult daughter was dating a black man. So have that knowledge in your noggin as we watch the rest of this video.
After tracing his daughter's laptop to the residence, he spotted Makai.
After tracing his adult daughter's laptop to her boyfriend's house, where she was, let's let it continue.
With 18-year-old Makai Coleman. After tracing his daughter's laptop to the residence, he spotted Makai's car driving by and decided to pull it over.
You can get out.
Reason.
You're going to jail. Get out.
What?
Have a seat in my car. We'll make shit up as we go.
It's immediately
He walks up to the car after pulling him over for no reason, says get out immediately, and tells him to get into the cop car. No saying you're under arrest, says you're gonna go to jail, even though he's not committed any crime or been accused of committing any crime. And all of this is being caught on video.
clear that this isn't a normal police interaction. That last phrase, "we'll make it up as we go," is obviously unprofessional and quite scary too. Officer Kovac has a personal and emotional connection to this case and has even made an unlawful...
This is the kind of dad that I mentioned in a previous stream that takes his daughter to purity balls and insists that his daughter's virginity is his property to give away to her future husband that he approves of and hands her off to at her wedding, and she gets to lose her virginity on her honeymoon after her wedding night. That is the type of dad that I'm talking about here, and makes up a large majority of conservative fathers in this country.
Full traffic stop because of it. Even if he did have a valid reason to pull Makai...
Cave Kayla, I almost said based because, like, that would be in defiance of the idea of a purity ball, but then I started to think for a second and realized that might not be too based. Yeah. So either based or sorry, depending on the circumstances.
Over, he should have radioed for another officer to handle the stop, but instead, he's taking things into his own hands.
Any guns, knives, weed on you? What's that?
Obviously.
Go ahead, get smart before I can do something to you, even more.
The passenger side door opening means someone is still in the vehicle, and it turns out to be another of his daughter's friends, but she's still nowhere to be seen.
I tell you get out of the car? Did I tell you get out of the car?
On a road that flows 12. Sales advising a white female on a blue sheet, find them with a gun.
Does your dad know my daughter's in your house?
You know what the scary thing as well is? Once a cop who's doing this calls in backup, he's got an entire team. That was not a joke, Cave Kayla. That was not a joke at all. Why would you think that I'd be joking about that? There's unironically a massive amount of sexual exploitation that happens in those spaces, and there have been many people who've started a sentence, like a story, by saying, I lost my virginity at blank, and then followed up with, yeah, it wasn't exactly consensual, so I was watching my bases, because I didn't want to say base to that, and then for you to follow it up with the most horrific shit I've ever heard. So, yeah.
Conveniently, Kovac managed to pull them over right next to the friend's house, so he decided to have a chat with the mother after remembering his daughter's laptop also showed her inside of this house.
Why is her computer there?
Why would your daughter be in my house?
I don't know. So if I check and you're lying to me, you're going to jail.
You could check, and I'm not lying to you.
She's getting a ticket because she wasn't wearing her seatbelt, so that's going to cost her $20.
And you know what? Get a warrant to be in my house.
That's fine. I will.
The woman politely invites Kovac to search her home despite having no legal obligation to. He tells her that because her daughter wasn't wearing a seatbelt, he's going.
He insists on searching her friend's mom's house because his daughter might be in there, and he says if you're lying and she's in there, you're going to jail. His adult daughter, who has not committed any crime or anything, he's just an abusive father who doesn't like that his daughter's an adult now, and even as a cop, he doesn't have the authority to control her. So now he is illegally using his status as a police officer to harass her. And as I was saying before, if he calls backup, an entire team of cops come who immediately will assume he is in the right and the people he's arresting are in the wrong. Any type of explanation of the situation they try to do will incriminate them. They'll get taken to investigators that don't know the situation, that assume that everything the cop that has arrested them is saying is true. No matter what justice comes about in the end, there is going to be untold amounts of suffering that the people that this cop is victimizing are going to go through, because it takes a while for the police to realize in situations like this that one of their own is actually breaking the law and the person who's a suspect is completely innocent and is a victim of police brutality.
Going to write them a ticket for $200, causing the woman to revoke her consent to search. It's becoming clear just how much he's willing to abuse his power to solve his own personal issues. So the woman decides to speak up.
You're making this
You're being
personal.
disorderly.
How am I being disorderly?
She wasn't wearing her seatbelt.
I was wearing my seatbelt. You're making this personal. You want to take my daughter because you think your daughter is in my
No,
house.
she wasn't
But
wearing a
whatever you
seatbelt.
go, I'm going to call 911.
Realizing exactly what's going on, the girl's mother reminds Officer Kovac that what he's doing is both unprofessional and illegal. But in a scramble to prevent the woman from calling his colleagues to the scene, he decides to let her daughter go without a ticket before discovering something nobody could predict.
I didn't even see you. Get out of the car. Get in my car. Go ahead, you guys are good. Ma'am, they could go with you.
The officer's daughter, Caitlin, had been hiding inside Mackay's car the entire time, obviously terrified of what her father might do to her and her friends. It turns out her fear wasn't unfounded, as he proceeds to essentially kidnap his own daughter by forcing her into his vehicle.
Get in my car. Goodbye.
You can't take me. I am 18. You have to give me a reason. By law, why are you pushing me? Are you kidding?
Literally an abusive father whose daughter turned 18 and finally had legal ability to get away from her dad, but her dad's a cop and used his cop abilities to track her down through stalking, kidnap her, and that is what's happening now, all caught on his body cam footage. Remember the 40% statistic of 40% of cops, I believe it was a Florida study, admitting to some form of domestic violence, yes. So keep that in mind.
Caitlin! Knock it off!
You don't want me! I know! Why you can't do this?
Yeah, she did nothing.
I'm an adult!
Get in the car. She's going to the hospital because she said she was going to kill herself Friday.
No, I didn't! I did not!
That's an abusive parent tactic. As someone who had issues with abusive parents growing up, that's an abusive parent tactic, is the trying to gain authority over your child by threatening to tell police that you're suicidal. Abusive parents love doing that. They love threatening legal action against their own children. I've had that happen to me where, like, I wanted to get out of the house and stay with other family, and I was met with a response of, I'll call the police and say you're suicidal. People in chat are saying same. It's not uncommon. When abusive parents realize that none of their tactics are working and they're going to lose their grip, they always resort to threats of, I'll call the cops. Sometimes they threaten, I'll call the cops and say, you hit me. That's not uncommon. I know we don't really like her here, but Lonnie's mom would do that as an example of someone I know that like has gone through that or knew that has gone through that. It's just not uncommon for parents that are abusive to their children as their children get to like the age where they can actually like have some level of agency physically for themselves to try and take the legal route to cement their control of their children. It's really common. And this is beyond that even. This is like so beyond that. But he's using the I'll tell the police you're suicidal as the I don't want to get you arrested, but I want to get you locked up for 3 days or whatever and under like a psychiatric hold. And like doing that can ruin someone's life, by the way. Like if they get institutionalized, that can like ruin their life. So, yeah.
Caitlin is essentially being kidnapped here. She's broken no laws and is legally an adult, meaning she can stay or go with anyone she wants. But despite that, he tells her that she has to come with him to the hospital as she needs a psychological evaluation. There's no need to point out just how badly Officer Kovac handled the entire situation. Internal Affairs did that for us. It was quickly concluded that Kovac acted illegally and irresponsibly. During the entire interaction, Kovac was listed as an available unit and was called to a domestic abuse case, but he never responded.
God, that'll probably get him in more trouble than any of the footage.
Sir John Kovac was later fired from the police department for his unprofessional behavior. But it's not only police officers.
That was the consequences. He got fired. He kidnapped, he stalked, harassed the friends of and the family of the friends of his daughter, kidnapped her, and the only consequences was he was fired. That's really the core of it all, right? You can say, like, there will always be some bad eggs within the police force. But when it comes down to it, if the most common response to the police abusing their power in such a horrific way is that they just get fired, it's a problem that there can be these bad apples and that they can abuse this power to do these things. So yeah, this is just another great example of why the left is as anti-cop as it tends to be. Because the examples of this are countless, and some are far worse.